Je déclare ouverte cette séance.
The meeting is now in order. So welcome to meeting number 5 of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Agriculture and Agri-Food. Today's meeting is taking place in a hybrid format pursuant to the House Order of November 25th, 2021. The proceedings will be made available via the House of Commons website. So you are aware, the webcast will always show the person speaking rather than the entirety of the committee.
Enough, I think, to know the rules and the parameters. Of course, abide by public health when you're in this room, according to the Board of Internal Economy. For our witnesses, for those that are online, you can toggle between English and French in terms of your language and interpretation. And of course, if there is a problem with translation, just signal to me and we will work on it technically and accordingly. Colleagues, we, pursuant to Standing Order 1082 and the motion adopted by this committee on Monday, January 31st, 2022, the committee is resuming its study of agriculture and agri-food supply chain. And I'm going to welcome our witnesses to the panel. But just before I do that, I just want to remind colleagues, of course, this is a big topic. We were talking offline with some members. Let's make sure that we try to stay within the boundaries of the text of the motion. It's ultimately the prerogative of members to ask questions in the direction that they want. But I do want to make sure that we have a report that is befitting of the industry and the people that we're seeking to represent. So let's try to be poignant. Let's try to be detailed so that we can have good recommendations to come back to the government. So today, joining us by teleconference, we have from the Canadian Meat Council, Marie-France McKinnon, who is the Vice President of Public Affairs and Communications. Welcome. From the Canadian Pork Council, we have Rick Bergman, Chair of the Board of Directors, and Gary Storty, who is the Director of Government and Corporate Affairs. Et avec les éleveurs de porc de Québec, David Duval, le Président. We have 5 minutes each for opening remarks. I'm going to start with you, Ms. McKinnon, for 5 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting Canadian Meat Council to testify today. I'm Marie-France McKinnon, Vice President, Public Affairs. CMC represents federally inspected meat processors and packers across Canada. We employ 70,000, while red meat consumption and exports supports about 288,000 jobs. From the COVID pandemic to the loss of export markets, floods, border issues, and unprecedented labor shortage, our meat plants across the country have been put under immense pressure and challenge for the past 2 years. We've been resilient, but it has exacerbated our meat processors and the supply chain. Yet our essential workforce kept us fed throughout this pandemic, and this is in large part thanks to the temporary foreign workers who works in our plant. 3 years ago, we worked really hard to get the agri-food immigration pilot, demonstrated to government that we deserve this pilot. We had 3 ministers at the table. We had the union. We had department official. Everyone agreed. At that time, we had 1,700 empty butcher stations. 1,700. Last year at this time, I ran the numbers. We had 4,500. We ran the numbers again in October. We're now at 10,000 empty butcher stations. The number is alarming. I challenge any industry or sector to compare the work and effort that our members do for recruitment and retention. Yet we're still faced with 10,000 empty butcher stations. Despite best efforts, we have a chronic labor shortage. All meat processors would love nothing more than to hire a Canadian. It'd be a lot easier, and you can't imagine the financial and time burden that would be alleviated. Canadians just don't want to work in meat plants. So we're stuck using this temporary foreign worker program. Yet there's nothing temporary about jobs in our sector. Our jobs are full-time, they are permanent. We're mostly all unionized. A Canadian or a temporary foreign worker, they have the same pay, the same benefit, and the same chances of advancement. The biggest and most important factor affecting us is this cap imposed on our sector. We're only allowed to hire up to 10% of our job vacancies. Our plants are now facing 20 to 35% job vacancy rate. So 10% doesn't quite cut it. On top of that, add an extra 10% due to the latest COVID wave. This cap is really limiting our ability to have made in Canada protein. It means more meats being processed in the US and more food imports for Canada. So picture a beef or pork shipment to another country. Well, in that container, you might as well add jobs, rural growth, economic growth, lost GDP, because we're not just exporting meat. We're sending jobs to other countries when we could actually be doing more value-added cuts here and grow our export. This cap is capping our processing capacity and our sector's growth potential. It's an economic issue for Canada. There's been 11 reports over the past 6 years that's asked to fix this cap. 2015 Labour Task Force, HUMA Committee, Conference Board of Canada, Value Chain Roundtable, Barton Report, Agri-Food Economic Table, to name only a few. Now more than ever, we need government to provide some relief to the agri-food sector by raising the cap to 30. It's great that Quebec received 20, but that's not even enough for our Quebec members who are well over 30%. And now this gives that province a competitive advantage over other provinces. Allowing us more flexibility with the cap is just good public policy. Canada has set an ambitious goal to grow its agri-food export to $75 billion by 2025. Meat processors are well poised to help grow the exports, but the roadblock is this cap. We came to government with a solution. We've presented our solution, but we needed results yesterday. Our empty butcher stations aren't just affecting us. The impact is from farm to fork, producer all the way to consumer. Our members have enough to worry about. Having a full workforce would certainly help them navigate all of the ongoing supply chain issues that we keep facing. Allow us to grow, to work at full capacity, to innovate, to look at automation, at AI. But we can't do that when our focus is on managing day-to-day operations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McKinnon. We're now going to go to Mr. Bergman for 5 minutes. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, all. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to appear before the Standing Committee and provide the perspectives of the Canadian pork producers on agriculture and agri-food supply chain. My name is Rick Bergman. I'm a producer from Manitoba and the chair of the Canadian Pork Council. Producers work hard every day to produce high quality, safe, affordable protein that is in demand in Canada and around the world. We export almost 70% of production in the forms of live animals to the US and meat worldwide. These exports to more than 90 countries exceeded over $5 billion last year and contributes significantly to the health of rural communities and the broader Canadian economy. We need to talk about the problems this morning. For numerous years, as what's been mentioned already, we have talked about a labor shortage. It is now critical. The processing facility is shutting down due to labor shortage, forcing producers to find other options, requiring longer distance to travel, and of course, higher costs. For some, I believe this is actually the straw that breaks the camel's back for them to leave the sector. And we have to defend that. We're dealing with the shortage of trained livestock drivers and the protests, of course, at border crossings that can easily lead to producers needing to euthanize animals due to animal welfare concerns. As of last Friday, 80 loads, including market hogs, cull sows, early weans, and feeder pigs, have been canceled directly due to border issues. It's fair to say that those numbers have no doubt increased over the weekend. These backed up loads are in addition to the estimated 180,000 hogs backed up in Quebec and in Ontario because of labor issues that already have been mentioned. Capacity for holding cull sows, market hogs, isoines will get tighter across Canada within the next week to 10 days. The barns are not built to retain livestock that should be already shipped. All this results in overcrowding and is not clear how to get through the backlog if we encounter more delays. What we do know is that the Government of Canada's additional vaccination rules announced on December 7th for employees in all federally regulated workplaces will be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Our traceability records show that we use approximately 700 trucks per month for moving hogs interprovincially, and the implementation of that rule will set us up for a guaranteed failure. The reality is that we're experiencing a significant shortage of trucks and trailers to haul hogs across Canada, and the situation is worse than publicly stated. Our inquiries indicate the livestock trucking industry has a lower vaccination rate than the public average. According to the latest survey information that we have, the industry has a vaccination rate of 72%. Of course, drought conditions caused about half a crop in Western Canada this last year, and has increased demand and eliminated local feed supplies. We're increasingly relying on importing feed ingredients from the US, paying approximately 30 to 40% more for the feed and a freight increase of about 50%. What's even more disappointing is that the AFC recovery program has been made available to almost every other animal in agriculture that needed feed during the drought conditions, except for pork producers. So before we can focus on the future, we need to fix on the issues right in front of us. And it's high time for us to advance a solution. The Canadian government needs to cut the time it takes to process temporary foreign workers applications. 8 to 12 months wait time is and will continue to erode the strengths of our sector. We need those employees yesterday. We need a more sustainable way of managing the COVID pandemic. Another factor of supply chain interruption is slowdowns at the Canadian ports. It is important to state that no time-sensitive agriculture Canadian ag export should ever be disrupted, especially perishable meat products. We are suggesting that the perishable and time-sensitive commodities such as meat be added to the exemption from the labor disruptions under Section 87.7 of the Canadian Labor Code. In closing, pork industry supply chain operates on a structured, very just-in-time delivery system for movement of live animals across Canada and into the US, animal feeds, and pork shipments. Any disruptions mentioned today causes major issues. Supply chain delays impact the economy, producers' mental health, and potentially the health and welfare of the animals that we're entrusted to take care of. Our industry really can't afford to sustain any more delays. Thank you.
Merci, Monsieur Bergman. Et maintenant, Monsieur Duval.
And now, Mr. Duval, you have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Oui, bonjour à tous. Alors, il me fait plaisir de venir vous parler aujourd'hui des problèmes que vit la chaîne d'approvisionnement agricole et agroalimentaire du Canada. Alors,
First of all, I would like to thank you for undertaking this study, which shows that our elected representatives take our situation seriously. Let me go straight to the topic. We went through all kinds of events which upended our supply chain. Some were contingencies, such as the pandemic, and others were the result of government policies. And I will start with the serious lack of manpower. In Quebec, Olimel is the the main buyer for us, with 80% of processing. But they cannot catch up with the delays which were created by the pandemic and the 4-month strike. So more than 130 hogs are now ready to be sold to slaughterhouse, which is a surplus of more than 200,000. So for a producer, that means that he or she has to use credit lines in order to compensate for money that doesn't come in, and also to continue feeding animals without the certainty that he's going to be compensated by the slaughterhouse. There is also a risk of diseases for pork and hogs. And in Quebec, this lack of manpower is contrary to our trade balance, because we have to export less processed meat, which then are sent to the United States and then back up into Canada. This is a real economic loss for the country. So if we want to end these problems of sale of our hogs, we can use also automation, which can play an important role in order to enable processes to be less impacted by this scarcity. But this takes time and money. It seems that the slaughterhouses have started the transition. However, they've yet to acquire the capacity. And in the short term, we now must stop to reduce the number of foreign workers who can work in our processing plants. And so this is a bottleneck which reduces the synergy, and also this limits the arrival of new workers. this is delayed. We see it in processing, in industrial butcher stations. So these are not jobs which are sought after by citizens. And the Quebec Minister of Work, Jean Boulet, has announced that the butcher stations will not be now with a ceiling of 20%. All we need is now the implementation by the federal government. So we should look at all the avenues which would enable us to increase the number of people available. If the departments meet the technical problems which do not enable us to implement this measure quickly, ministers should speed up the process and settle the problem, as is the case for the adding of this profession to this list. There has to be a federal-provincial cooperation, and this urgently, in order to settle these computer problems and IT problems. We want our industry to find its renewed momentum. On the other hand, I wanted to mention the concentration of slaughterhouses. The main players like Olimel and Exceldor have a very important part of their market. It is almost a monopoly. And so we in Quebec, we have a collective marketing. However, with the concentration of buyers, tips the power in favor of these concentrated buyers. So the federal government should implement the recommendation number 1. First of all, we have to increase the slaughtering capability. And currently, we have more than 1,250,000 hogs, including 530,000 in Quebec and 750,000 in Ontario, which we do not find a purchaser as of next week. So, and I thank you for your attention, and I'll be glad to answer your questions. Thank you indeed, Monsieur Duval. Now for the question period, but before the question period.
At 11:30, as opposed to waiting till 11:30 and interrupting questions, can I ask for unanimous consent that if that bell does start reading at 11:30, given the fact we have the ability to vote by phone, I will extend it until we get close, and we'll use our discretion at that point. Can I seek unanimous consent to do that?
Is anybody planning to go physically there?
No. Okay, we're good. Everyone online? Okay, Mr. Barlow for 6 minutes then.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you for our witnesses for being here. Certainly appreciate your insights. Rick, I want to start with you, and you talked about some of the issues facing your industry, and I was reading this morning that food security is a number one priority for Canadians as we talk about the ability to and the issues in our supply chain. I think it's quite timely, and to hear that you are having to euthanize animals for a number of reasons, I find quite disconcerting. And then with 180,000 hogs backed up in eastern Canada, making things even worse. So, when we have obviously some issues and some weak links within our supply chain, now does not seem to be the time to further throw wrenches into that very obviously fragile process. And you mentioned about the trucking mandates, and now that the Prime Minister is talking about bringing in interprovincial trucking mandates as well. Was Pork Council consulted on the trucking mandates that were instituted a month ago? Have you been consulted on interprovincial trucking mandates, and what would be the impact on the industry if those were to indeed be implemented?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Barlow. So we've always had a position that a mandate on interprovincial trucking would be very devastating to our country, to our business. We've made that position known. We noticed that actually people love eating meat, and the world is calling for our product, and yet we have inability some way to take advantage of that for some of the concerns that have been mentioned. So we certainly see that when 72% of the Canadian drivers that are required for interprovincial travel, 72% of them are vaccinated. So that would be a very strenuous point for our sector. We've talked with different drivers, different driving businesses, transport companies, and so on, and they're pulling their hair out because if this in fact happens, the problem has gotten much worse than what it is today.
Thanks, Rick. And it's interesting. We never had trucking mandates for the international border or interprovincially during the height of the pandemic. Now when provinces are lifting mandates, it seems quite counterproductive to now be putting in these mandates when we seem to be on the other side of this pandemic. But the other aspect of this is February 20th, the federal government is going to be bringing in or is starting to enforce these new animal health transportation regulations that have been on the books for a couple of years, but they haven't really been enforcing them. And again, when we are in a supply chain crisis, which I think all of us agree is the fact, and I was really disappointed when we had the officials from AFC here last week, when I asked them about this question, had they been in consultation to maybe extend that deadline until we can kind of get through this crisis, and they said they haven't really been consulting on it when this is a direct impact on agriculture and agriculture processing and producers. Have you been consulted or have you had any conversations with Transport Canada or with Ag Canada in terms of the impact enforcing those new animal health transportation regulations are going to be difficult in the best of times, but certainly in the circumstances we find ourselves in now? What will be the impact of those new regulations, and have you been consulted or put forward a proposal to again delay the implementation of those new regulations?
No, I have not been consulted, and our sector is always okay with building with rules and regulations and protocols. That's fine, but folks, we're in a crisis now. So I think we really need to take a step back and focus on the situation of the crisis and ensure that any upcoming regulations, again, that are imposed, whether it be transport related or otherwise, would be reflected upon to avoid further disruption in our world. We have to ship our products further when plants are not able to take our products, and throughout the whole transportation regs and so on, now's the wrong time to pursue that.
Organizations, Food and Beverage Canada, Meat Council, presented the government with a number of solutions and proposals to try and to address the labor issue. And I know I sympathize. We've talked about this many times, and the current government has done very little to address this. Has the government acted on any of those proposed solutions? And if so, what are they? And if not, do you have an idea why not?
Thanks for the question. We've presented the solutions. We've had further discussion. We even refined our proposal based on what we were hearing from different officials. The short answer is we have no answer, really. What we need is the 30% cap, and we don't need, even 20 is not enough for our sector. The main underlying problem of the supply chain right now is kind of our players, our members,
Miss McKinnon,
who are affecting producers. And
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I want to be mindful of time, and I know that you will get the opportunity to continue to address that because this is something this committee has heard. But I want to go to Mr. Lewis for 6 minutes now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to all of our witnesses. I very much appreciate you being here and your time in this important discussion. I would like to address my questions to Mr. Bergman and Ms. McKinnon. We've had discussions before because in my riding in Kitchener-Conestoga, we've got Conestoga Meats, the second largest pork processor in Ontario. And they did receive funding for the Canada Emergency Processing Fund, over $1 million in funding for that, which would be for supporting meat processing facilities, the safety of workers, and those measures to enhance the protection of employees. The measures that have been taken by processors everywhere across the country to keep workers safe, the daily temperature symptom screenings, increased sanitation, staggered shifts, break times. We're very proud of our workers who are working across this food chain, and we need to continue to protect them. These short-term shutdowns are what prevent preventing short-term shutdowns will prevent long-term disruptions. And so what my question would be, and maybe Ms. McKinnon, you could start, what lessons have we learned with those kind of investments of keeping our employees safe, the ones that are there in that congregate settings, and what can we do to keep that going for the future?
I think the agri-food sector as a whole has spent over probably $1 billion in measures to fight COVID. Let's be frank, our members, meat processors, bore the front of all headlines before government even kind of knew what was going on and trying to figure out with public health what was happening. So our sector worked hand in hand with government officials of all levels to ensure that, our employees were safe. We need their workforce, and we are all about family and protecting our employees, sorry. So, there was a lot done, and keeping them safe is key for us. We cannot afford to be shut down. We already struggle with labor. So all of the money, everything that we'll take everything to keep protecting our workforce. And we've done that. We did that a long time ago. And now our establishments, are safe. And I think our employees feel that, and they see that when they walk in every day. And it's an adjustment for everyone. As you know, we all see it every day in our day-to-day lives, all the adjustments we've made. Same thing applies to our members. And we need the workforce. We can't afford to have employees miss. The latest wave of COVID is an extra 10% of vacancy rates for our members on top of the already existing 20 to 35% vacancy rate in our sector. So that 10% is, additional, and it's taking a toll on processors, and it's taking a toll on producers because it's not just about us. It affects everyone. So we want to keep everybody safe, and we've been doing a good job, I think, at that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You Ms. McKinnon, you referred to, employees as family, and that's exactly what we heard. Talk to the processor plants. They said, how can I protect my family? So, and you did mention it. On top of the shortages you already have, you have to make sure the workers that are there are safe. So maybe I could ask the same question to Mr. Bergman. What lessons can we learn moving forward to take some of those measures which we thought might be temporary and make them more permanent as we move forward to protect the workers that are there?
Yeah, well, I believe the measures that have been taken to protect the employees are good. But envision a hockey team where you have 3 lines and a goalie on the ice and one as a backup. Now you only have one goalie, and you don't have 3 lines, and that is the problem. So now the people that are there, they have to work harder, way more than what they're asked to. And again, so they're safe, yes, but the fundamental problem is there's not enough of them, and we need to really focus on that.
I appreciate that. You also mentioned the drought conditions that we had, which would affect feed, and the devastating flooding that we've had in BC that we've already, done studies on and seeing how we can help and lessons we can learn. Maybe I'll stay with you, Mr. Bergman. How has that affected the supply chain as well, the losses from BC and the drought conditions, and what kind of lessons can we learn to strengthen our supply chains against the climate crisis that we're now facing?
Well, absolutely. When we're all in real time or just in time deliveries, whenever there is a little bit of a glitch, then there's a major problem. And so we can look at the transportation and the drivers that we have right now are great, but it's not that we have an overabundance of them. So I think having the foundational bricks in place to continue the building on. So in other words, to make sure that we have the drivers, the infrastructure is critically important, whether it would be ports, whether it be rail, whether it would be trucks. Those are fundamental. And when those aren't working well due to natural disasters or certainly the pandemic we're in and some of the challenges within it, then the brakes get put on hard and we realize the areas that are of big voids.
Well, thank you. I do believe my time is up, but I just want to thank the witnesses for that insightful testimony. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Maintenant, Monsieur Parent, pour 6 minutes, s'il vous plaît. Allez.
Mr. Perron, 6 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll begin by thanking our witnesses for being here today. I'll begin with Mr. Duval. Mr. Duval, in your presentation, you focused on labor problems. I'd like to come back to that. How are the labor problems impacting the industry in Quebec at the moment? Last year, processors had to be closed, slaughterhouses had to be closed. These are slaughterhouses that can slaughter 40,000 hogs a week. Now they're only doing 25,000 or even 20,000. And that is directly owing to a labor shortage in the processing plants. And what can the government do to help you? We've just raised the rate from 10 to 20%, and it doesn't seem to be enough. What do we need to do? That is something we've been supporting for some time now. We can't stop pork production. When I work on insemination, it takes 10 months from insemination to the slaughterhouse. So when you start reducing slaughterhouse capacity, there's nothing I can do to stop the number of hogs coming in except to cull them. If producers had not had programs to help us harvest, to help us on the farm, agricultural production would be in huge difficulty now. Production is logically followed by processing, and that's something we need to take into account and deal with the labor issues. Announcements were made last year and at the beginning of this year. We understand there are computer issues, administrative issues in putting all this into place, but the announcements have been made. I believe that the intent is the right one, but all it takes is a little push to move things forward, so that our processors can get back to normal capacity and start making some profit again out of their operations. You said, you mentioned that in agriculture there's no cap on foreign workers, but in processing there is. Do you think that cap should be removed? Well, the processing sector is closely associated with the production sector, so I think that would be logical. The Quebec government has put programs in place to cover part of the wages of people coming to work on farms. The program was a flop in Quebec because Quebecers, and I would believe this would hold for Canadians, for most people in the country, farm work is just too difficult. And processing is very difficult, too. You're working in the cold, in very wet environment. It's repetitive work. So I think removing those caps would be very useful if that cap on foreign workers and processing plants could be removed. They're also processing deadlines that are very difficult for you. It might be easier, for example, to recognize trusted employer and request only one form for per facility, for example, rather than per worker. Absolutely. It's been 7 years. For the past 7 years, I've had only foreign workers. I had to go that way. And every 6 months, I have to start all over again with the applications for the same workers who want to come work for me every year. This is a tremendous administrative burden, particularly with the administrative problems that are making the 4-month delay into an 8-month or 12-month delay. So yes, that burden could be lightened. There could be trusted employers, trusted employees, employers with good standards. That there are a lot of ways to reduce that waiting time. Yes, I understand you would like the immigration side of it made less cumbersome. Mr. Duval, I'd also like to ask you about the concentration in the meat processing sector. Can the government help develop new processing sites that are perhaps closer to lighten the production chain and processing chain? Well, we export a lot to Asia, to Mexico, 25% of non-deboned meat, because we didn't have the workers to do the deboning. These decisions are made within a given operation. So rather than, having more processors in the country would be helpful. We know that in major corporations, decisions are made, and it is difficult to change a decision to sell 25% of our production in Asia, for example. Mr. Duval, I'm sorry, but the time is up. Thank you, Mr. Perron. Mr. McGregor, 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to notify you that I'd like to move the motion that I gave notice of on Friday. So all members should have a copy of that. I'm just going to read it into the record. So the motion goes as follows: that the committee report the following to the House. Quote, the House of Commons Standing Committee on Agriculture and Agri-Food calls for the immediate end of blockades at Canada's border crossings. At a time of severe strain to our supply chains, the blockades are interrupting millions of dollars of daily trade between Canada and the United States and are negatively impacting Canadian agriculture and agri-food industries, including producers, manufacturers, and processors. The federal government must play a leadership role in keeping these vital trade networks open for the thousands of agricultural businesses and workers who depend on them, end quote. That the clerk of the committee prepare and issue a press release following the presentation of the report in the House, and that the press release be published on the committee's website and posted on the committee's social media platforms. Mr. Chair, I'm moving this motion because, as committee members may be aware, on Friday we had 8 major agricultural organizations call for the same thing. They include the Canadian Agri-Food Trade Alliance, the Canadian Cattlemen's Association, the Canadian Federation of Agriculture, the Canadian Meat Council, the Canadian Horticultural Council, the Canadian Pork Council, the Canadian Produce Marketing Council, and the National Cattle Feeders Association. We have millions of dollars of trade being impacted by these blockades. And Mr. Chair, I think that our agricultural producers need to have an ally in the House of Commons. And I think they could get some encouragement if they were to see the Standing Committee on Agriculture adopt this motion so that they know Canada's parliamentarians stand in solidarity with them. So, Mr. Chair, with that, I so move the motion, and I invite comments from my fellow colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. McGregor. I recognize Mr. Barlow has raised his hand, so we'll start with Mr. Barlow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate Mr. McGregor's bringing this motion forward. I spent 4 hours in Coutts this weekend trying to get that blockade opened. certainly having discussion with many of the folks down there. And I'm just wondering if we could propose two amendments, and I have spoken to Mr. McGregor about this earlier. And the one amendment that I would suggest is before blockade. So Agri-Food calls for the immediate end of blockades. I would like to add the word illegal. And the reason I want to put that in there is in the discussions with many of, and some are my constituents, but a lot of the folks down at the blockade in Coots, they didn't really understand that what they were doing was illegal. They're protesting and certainly making a point, but the second they leave the side of the road and start blocking, a critical piece of infrastructure and the trade corridor at Coots, now they've gone from, peaceful legal protest into an illegal blockade. And I think that word illegal is critical, that we highlight to those who are blocking the borders of what they're doing is an illegal activity. And the second amendment that I would like to propose is, so at the end of illegal blockades at Canada's border crossings, and then add this phrase, and for the government to present a plan to Canadians for the lifting of COVID-19 federal mandates and restrictions. The reason I think we should add that in there, Mr. Chair, is the reason these blockades are there is a protest against the mandates. And again, in discussion with the folks down there, all they are asking for is a clear path and some metrics on how and when those mandates are going to be lifted. I think all of us are getting the calls and the emails from very frustrated constituents is that, we keep going back and forth. They're on, they're off, they're on, they're off, and it's taking its toll. And for these folks who are down there, and I'm assuming in many of these other blockades, what they want is a clear path to when these mandates are going to be removed. And these mandates are the reason these blockades are there. So I think that should be an important part of that motion. Other than that, with those two additions, I think we would have no problems supporting this. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Barlow. I just had a discussion with the clerk. I mean, you're moving amendments. It's been suggested by the clerk, and I support that discretion of that we would address each one of these amendments separately. Okay. Comments, Mr. Turnbull.
I would really appreciate, for some reason I didn't, all the amendments that Mr. Barlow suggested sounded reasonable, but I'd like to see them in writing if possible. It's always easier to read it through and consider the language. Certainly appreciate Mr. McGregor bringing forward this motion. I certainly see a need to ensure that there is no blockades at any points of entry. Certainly this we know is highly disruptive to our supply chains, which are already tested to their limit. I think we've heard that today from the various witnesses we've had speak quite eloquently about that. I think the one thing to note, just in response to Mr. Barlow's comments, is that any protest that impedes the progress, impeding progress is not the same as peaceful assembly. In my understanding of the law, is you're not allowed to impede progress of other people exercising their rights. And certainly, cross-border trade is we have a right to those supply chains to be opened, and these serve the public interest to ensure that they remain open. One of the points that Mr. McGregor, I think also just as another reflection point on your motion, I noticed that you, draw, you ask for leadership from the federal government, which I think is good to point out. I also would say that some of the blockades I understand were actually not in areas that were under federal jurisdiction. So, this sometimes creates complication when there's a police of jurisdiction that are actually have to enforce the law in those areas, and it's really within their jurisdiction to do that. So I think over time, we realize that the federal government, of course, has a role to play, but there's a due process that has to be gone through where each level of government of jurisdiction is responsible for playing their role, and I think that's important as well. So I know that we have a vote coming up. I wonder if we could suspend until we finish the vote and then come back, if that's possible, Mr. Chair.
So, Mr. Turnbull, I recognize Ms. Taylor-Roy. I know there's conversations happening in the room, and I also want to be equitable and fair to our witnesses as well. I'm going to go to Ms. Taylor-Roy, and I'm going to let some of the conversations that I know are being had between the different representatives of the party, and perhaps we can sort this away. Ms. Taylor-Roy, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. McGregor, for putting forward this motion. I think it's a good one, but I would like, my colleague, Mr. Turnbull, I would like to see the proposed amendments in writing. I wasn't able to follow every part of it, and I think there are two different things what you're asking for in the amendment are kind of separate issues. So I do believe that the amendment or the motion that you put forward, Mr. McGregor, I believe that I was in the House last week when a member a Liberal member put forward a motion asking for unanimous consent to do just what you're asking, and I believe it was blocked by the opposition. So I'm in agreement. I think the Liberals are all in agreement. The government's all in agreement with this, and I think it's essential, especially given what we're hearing today from these trade industry representatives, that these illegal blockades be removed and that they're not allowed to go forward. But I do agree that there are issues, even with the Ambassador Bridge, where the bridge itself is federal jurisdiction, but the assembly on either side of it then goes into municipality and the provincial's jurisdiction. And so asking the federal government to take leadership on that, I think may require more than this motion. But thank you for putting it forward, and I would like to see the amendments in writing if possible.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor-Roy. Look, I'm going to try to use my discretion here. We'll see what committee members think. I want to be equitable and fair to our witnesses who have taken their time to be here, notwithstanding, Mr. McGregor, the beneficial intent of your motion. If I could get unanimous consent, what I would propose is that we continue with our line of questioning till we get closer to the actual vote that is before us. We can suspend so that we can both vote, and perhaps there can be dialogue amongst the members such that when we return, we can move forward with that. So I would ask for unanimous consent in that, and I would continue with a line of questioning with Mr. Lehoux if that is of the wish of the committee. Okay, seeing nothing against that, we have about 16 minutes. I intend to get into about 5 or 6 minutes, and I'll call the meeting at that point. Monsieur Lehoux, pour...
Mr. Lehoux, you have 5 minutes. The floor is yours. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question would be for Mr. Duval. You spoke about 1,200,000 hogs in Quebec and Ontario. Could you please elaborate on that? Where will those hogs go? We know that closures are imminent, maybe next week. Hogs will have to be moved towards the western part of the country and the United States. We have to find transport to do so. If not, it's going to be difficult. We've always wanted to avoid humanitarian culling, but if we have any other options, we will use those options. You're saying that you're going to try and export hogs towards the U.S. or Western Canada to send them to the abattoir. What's the ultimate date when we won't be able to transport these hogs on thousands of kilometers without consequences? Our contacts in transport and logistics gave us mid-April as a time frame. We'll be able to transport a certain amount of our hogs, but it will be mid-April. Now for labor. We know that there were agreements concluded since July in order to go from 10 to 20% in Quebec, namely. We know that this cap should be higher. There's still an inexplicable delay. So how can we increase the number of foreign temporary workers here? Where is the problem? We could say that there's a computer problem, technological problem, but is there a strong will on behalf of the federal government to explore solutions and find solutions rapidly. Because I spoke with people at Olymel last week, and they're being told that they're going to have to wait until April or May before these workers can work. And so these hogs are waiting in the meantime. So what do you think about that? We have recruited 800 employees from abroad. They're ready to come to Canada. They have their passport, their visas. They just need the federal issued document that will give them the opportunity to work here. So that's the main issue. Once we can give those employees these documents, these necessary documents, they'll be able to come to Canada. But this must be done very fast because there's still a delay. And I was even told that these employees, Mr. Duval, something's changed and some things stay the same. Now a question for Ms. McKinnon. When we speak about robotization and the improvement of robotization, do you think that processing businesses need tax credits in order to encourage businesses to increase robotization? We obtained $2 million from the federal government, and we work with a committee that is currently working on a long-term strategy to help labor. Robotization will be an integral part of this effort. The project should be completed in 18 months. But as I said in my opening statement, it's difficult for our industry, for our members, to turn to robotization, to know that this innovation should be done. That would increase production, but we can't ask businesses to invest in innovation if they can't even predict if they'll be able to continue their activities because of the labor shortage. So once we had a stable labor force and that our industry is more stable with regards to labor, as soon as that is done, we'll be able to explore long-term solutions. And so the processing industry wants to increase robotization, but we need to solve these issues first. Pardon, Monsieur Lehoux, it's 5 minutes. Your 5 minutes are up. Thank you, Ms. McKinnon. Mr. Drouin, you have 5 minutes. The floor is yours. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to thank the witnesses who are here today. Ms. McKinnon, you give your perspective to the government, and your number one issue is labor shortages, correct? Yes, we need labor. Nothing can improve or happen if we don't have enough workers. And we need the cap to be at 30%. Quebec obtained 20%. That's good news. It's a step in the right direction, but it's not enough. Take Olymel, for example, in Quebec. They have issues at 30, 35%, and even higher, maybe. So 20%, okay, we'll take it because it's better than 10%. But our labor shortage is so important, so big, and it's not just in Quebec, it's everywhere in Canada. We need that cap to be at 30%. With producers, we are all in it together, and we're all interconnected. So if we have to have a cap, we'd like that cap to be at 30%. Some of my members are at 10%, some of my members are at 20%. So if a small business like Sunterra in Trochu in Alberta, they're already at 20%. But they're in a rural area. There aren't any workers to hire. They need temporary foreign workers. And, I mean, there's nothing temporary about it. These are permanent positions that should be filled. We need to find solutions in order to exit this temporary model, because there's nothing temporary about workers. It's permanent. We need permanent workers. It's a critical issue at this point. We've proposed solutions to the government. We need the government to act. We needed them to act yesterday. We need to see results now, because even now, if we are given this 30% cap, well, it's not going to be implemented tomorrow. It's going to be in months, maybe a year. Changes will be implemented incrementally. There's also a lot of red tape with the government, and there's so much backlog in the government, but something must be done because members are hurting. Have you spoken to your members about hiring efforts? Because we're talking about 20%, 30%, but where are these workers going to come from? And is this workforce skilled enough to work with your members? Because these discussions are already underway. Yes. So, of course, we never stop trying to hire people. Different businesses have made studies. We could refer you to them. There are so many strategies that we've deployed to hire Canadians. I don't think there's any other sector that works as hard to improve hiring practices. Well, not necessarily Canadians, but foreign temporary workers. We need to find them. So if we increase the cap to 30% or 20%, do you have data that would demonstrate that you would be able to hire foreign temporary workers through agencies specialized in the matter? Or is there any other way that you could show us that you would fill this gap with temporary foreign workers? Give us the 30% cap and we will fill those positions. We will be able to produce a report to demonstrate that we will be able to fill that 30%. We have the right contacts. We're already using different programs. There are wait lists. We know where to go. We know where to recruit these workers. This is not a problem. The problem is the cap. Give us a 30% cap and we'll see an immediate difference for our processors and producers. Thank you. Monsieur Duval, you spoke of automation in the sector. I have two questions for you. Did you yourself see that automation was adopted in certain countries or by your members? And second, what role can the government play to accelerate automation in our sectors here in Canada and in Quebec? 30 seconds, Mr. Duval. Different countries invest in robotization because all countries are confronted with this labor shortage. It must be done strategically, but for our members to do it themselves and to not solve the primary issue, which is, again, the labor shortage, some workers can never be replaced by automation. That must be said. Mr. Perron, you have 2 minutes. The floor is yours. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. McKinnon, I asked Monsieur Duval a question regarding the concentration of abattoirs in the country. Do you think it would be desirable to maybe have other structures like a support program in order to create abattoirs? Again, this ties back to the labor shortage. If we don't have the necessary workers in these plants that exist already and have labor shortage problems, if we create new plants, new installations, then the labor shortage is even more pronounced. So for now, can we just find a way to fill those vacancies in our members' businesses, and then we can try and see what we can do Canada-wide. But we really need an increase in workers before we do that. You mentioned the 30%. You said you needed this 30%, but earlier with Monsieur Duval, we thought, well, there are no percentages in agri-food that's directly linked to that. So would you want some flexibility? Certain centers could have 35%, and then we could create working groups for permanent immigration for workers and so on. I think that's an excellent idea, and I hope that the government will go in this direction. The government did not indicate that it was willing to eliminate this cap, since we were told that this cap would never be eliminated. We're at 10% now. 20% is not sufficient. So we need to find middle ground. 30% is better than nothing. But as Mr. Duval said, we need 30%.
To the witnesses, thank you. I know that was challenging trying to balance that. We appreciate your time. I think housing plays an important role as part of this committee report as well. I don't have the time to ask you a question, nor do you have the time to respond, but I would welcome any submissions you may give to this committee around housing, because on the temporary foreign worker piece, you're right, this committee has recommended that before, but also with the housing situation in the country, what can we do as a government, what can industry do to partner to support the housing element for the workers that would be coming? I would welcome those. Thank you for being here. Colleagues, we are going to suspend. The clerk has sent you both English and French translations of the amendments that are being proposed. We will break for the 10 minutes during the vote. As soon as that 10 minutes is up, I will reestablish the meeting and we will carry on with our next panel. So thank you, and we will see you soon. All right, committee colleagues, we're back. We're on the second panel here. And look, I'm going to just quickly introduce our guests, and then we have to get our procedural work done. But from the Canadian Hatching Egg Producers, we have Brian Bilks, who serves as the chair. Drew Black, who serves as executive director. From the Canadian Poultry and Egg Processors Council, Ian McFall, chair of the board of directors, and Jean-Michel Laurin, who is the president and chief executive officer. And from Egg Farmers of Canada, Roger Pellicerio, who serves as the chair, and Tim Lambert, who is the chief executive officer. Certainly no strangers to this committee. Welcome to all the witnesses. But we need to return back to what we have been dealing with in the first panel. There are two amendments that have been brought to the floor. If there's no more debate, we can move directly to votes. But I do see a hand. I see two hands. So we're going to go to Mr. McGregor and then to Mr. Drouin.
Thank you, Chair. And I appreciate what Mr. Barlow is bringing forward. I think I'm personally in favor of the first amendment, which is inserting the word illegal. But the second amendment, I think my main focus is to try and keep this motion quite focused, and it's really just a declaration of support for the agricultural industries which are being negatively impacted by the blockade. So, I mean, to flip it around, when the blockades were going on in February of 2020, would this committee have entertained the idea of calling on the federal government to put in place a plan to stop all pipeline development? I mean, that's just another way of flipping this. So I think in the interest of trying to keep us all on side and on track, I would be in favor of just removing that second amendment, keeping this this motion worded with the addition of the word illegal. And so I think that's the way I'm leaning, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. McGregor. Mr. Drouin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Agree with my colleague, Mr. McGregor. We're okay with the First Amendment, even though all blockades are illegal. But we should. It's important to stress to make the point. And with regards to the Second Amendment, for us, we won't be supporting it. But I don't want to talk this out for forever. I think we've had an agreement, I believe, and we can. I'll be presenting a short amendment after, but I'll wait for those two votes to happen if they do happen. Merci.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I'd like to move that we go to vote on the First Amendment, which was the term illegal, which I do believe has the support of this committee. Unless anyone deems otherwise, just signal that your intent to support that, and we can move forward. Yep. Okay, unanimous, great. On the second one, which I don't have the wording, I can read it out to this group, but I think it's already clear where this committee stands. Would you like a recorded division, or would you just simply like on division, perhaps against it, based on what I've heard, Mr. Barlow?
No, we don't. It's fine.
Okay. Okay, so that... Are you suggesting you remove it, or would you just, Mr. Barlow, just for the benefit, would you either want to remove it on the basis of what Mr. McGregor and Mr. Drouin have signaled, or what's your...
No, we want to vote on it. We'll just say on division that
it was defeated.
That it was defeated.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Mr. Drouin.
So if members will indulge me, Mr. McGregor, you present in your motion, you presented that the federal government play a leadership role. We would just simply make a friendly amendment and say all governments play a leadership role.
Okay. Mr. Drouin, you're moving that amendment to the motion that or to the motion that's been brought forward by Mr. McGregor. Any debate on that? Is that something this committee supports? The two words that Mr. McGregor has or Mr. Drouin has suggested. Seeing a thumbs up from some folks on the screen. If there's no other debate, can I seek that is, I guess, unanimous consent from the members? I see nodding heads. Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. You've got that. So look, let's move on to our witnesses. Thank you for bearing with us. Oh, right. That's right. Thank you. My apologies. New chair, and Mr. Quirk, you got to prevent me from making those mistakes. We'll have a vote on the entire motion then, please. And if we need, we can record it. But if not, if it's all in approval, we can just signal accordingly. I guess if you could signal hands to suggest that you're on board. Okay, passed unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Now to our witnesses. Our apologies. We're going to get back started. I've got Mr. Bilks. You have 5 minutes for opening remarks. Over to you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just confirming that my sound is working properly.
It is, yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Vice Chairs, and honorable members of the committee. My name is Brian Bilks, and I'm the chair of the Canadian Hatching Egg Producers. Joining me today is our Executive Director, Drew Black. Our farmers supply fertilized broiler hatching eggs to the Canadian chicken industry. These hatching eggs allow chicken farmers to provide safe and healthy poultry to consumers and to the food service industry. Your invitation to appear today to discuss agricultural supply chains is a well-timed and critical discussion. Like my fellow witnesses appearing before you today, I would be happy to report that our domestic supply chains are uninterrupted, but unfortunately, we are currently experiencing disruptions with regards to required imports. These challenges have been intensified by unexpected situations, such as the extreme flooding in BC, the heat dome last year, and the ongoing global pandemic. Canada's agriculture and agri-food supply chains require investments in resilient systems like supply management to keep our agriculture sector strong. Our farmers work hard every day to supply our markets with what is needed to feed Canadians. Regrettably, some trade deals have eroded the market for Canadian poultry and egg producers. They've weakened the sustainability of our supply chains because we rely on 20% of the market being filled by TRQ that is no longer available for purchase from the US market. Mr. Chair, we need flexibility in our system to increase production. And with the CPTPP and CUSMA trade agreements now in effect, an increasing number of the TRQ volumes need to be taken into consideration that will reduce our domestic production in the coming years. Full and fair support for the poultry and egg sectors through CUSMA mitigations needs to be a priority. We know that investing in farmers to remain competitive in all aspects of sustainability will improve and strengthen our supply chains. Mr. Chair, allow me this opportunity to elaborate on the current U.S. broiler hatching egg supply shortage. Currently, 21% of broiler hatching eggs and chicks that are required to meet Canadian productions are filled by the U.S. market. While our Canadian farmers are supplying the volumes that are asked of them, 21% of the market is set aside for TRQ that is no longer supplied in sufficient quantities. Chick placements in Ontario have been reduced by 2%, and it's predicted that this reduction will increase to 5% by the end of this month. Other provinces, hatching egg producers are experiencing similar shortages to be coming soon. This market unavailability is expected to last throughout the year. To address these shortfalls, we must and have increased domestic production. But with the short notice we received with regards to these shortages, there are limited steps that we can take without having more broiler breeder hens in our barns. Mr. Chair, we are seeing our freight costs tripling, and the fact that our carriers are struggling to cross the border will undoubtedly cost our farmers their livelihoods. This week, a truck transporting breeder chicks was at a standstill, stuck in traffic, trying to cross the border. The driver was informed their truck was not going to move and would ultimately not cross the border because of the blockades. We were fortunate that this time the truck was able to be rerouted 5 hours to another point of entry. But Mr. Chair, if these disruptions continue, we will not always be so lucky. These chicks must reach our farms so that we can successfully grow our product. Mr. Chair, it is my hope that through processes like today's important discussions, that we will be able to create solutions to supply chain disruptions for years to come. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you today. Drew and I are here to answer any questions you may have, and I hope our presentation was informative. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bilks. We're now going to move to Mr. McFall for 5 minutes. Over to you, Mr. McFall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon to you and to all of the committee members. My name is Ian McFall, and I chair the Board of Directors of CPAPC, the Canadian Poultry and Egg Processors Council. While I'm here as chair of CPAPC, I'm also Executive Vice President at Burnbrae Farms, a family-owned company with egg grading, breaking, boiling, and farming operations in 5 provinces, and sales across Canada. I'm joined today by CPEPC's President and CEO, Jean-Michel Laurent. We're pleased to take part in your study on the agriculture and agri-food supply chains alongside our industry partners at CHEP, the Canadian Hatching Egg Producers, and of course EFC, the Egg Farmers of Canada. This is an important topic for us because Canadian poultry and egg processors play an essential role in Canada's food chain. Our association represents Canadian hatcheries, egg graders and processors, and chicken and turkey processors and further processors. Collectively, our membership represents more than 180 establishments of all sizes. Our members also collectively process over 90% of the poultry and egg products raised by Canadian farmers. Just to help you understand where we fit in the supply chain versus CHEP and EFC, our hatchery sector members buy and hatch the broiler hatching eggs raised by CHEP's members, which are then sold to chicken farmers, who then supply our members' poultry processing operations. For the record, our membership also includes laying hen and turkey hatcheries. In the egg sector, Canadian egg farmers supply our egg grading and processing operations. In other words, something CPPC members have in common is that they buy their main inputs from supply-managed Canadian farmers and then compete with each other to supply Canadian grocery retailers, as well as food service and industrial markets. I'd like to share a few observations, after which we'll be pleased to answer your questions. First is that this pandemic has created a perfect storm situation for our supply chain. It caused, and is still causing, significant disruption in our markets, in our business operations, in our customer base, and especially in our people and labor situation. Recent events, from the floods in BC to the recent cases of avian influenza found in Atlantic Canada, are also testing our resilience. A second point is that we play a dual essential service role in the agri-food sector. We're an essential service to Canadian farmers who rely on us to buy, process, and market their production. We're also an essential service to Canadians who rely on the food we make to feed themselves and their families. Our supply chain is heavily focused on supplying the Canadian market. This is a role that we take very seriously, but it has also taken a toll on our workforce. Our industry is no different from the rest of the Canadian food processing sector, which finds itself short of labor by about 25%. This means that we can't fill a quarter of the positions in our industry. We faced chronic labor shortages before the pandemic, but those have been growing significantly. This is having a direct impact on people working in our establishments and on the availability of Canadian food products. It's now clear that we need help, and we need it fast. Canada's food processing sector has been advocating for an emergency foreign labor program. The only short-term solution at our disposal is to bring in more temporary foreign workers to fill our immediate labor gap. We will be pleased to expand on this, but what we were essentially asking for is to make immediate adjustments to existing agri-food pilot programs so that we can bring in more temporary foreign workers, streamline the application process, and speed up processing times. While labor is an important and immediate concern, we are also working with our industry partners on developing a mid to long-term labor strategy for our sector. Other policy solutions that would help address challenges faced by our industry include fulfilling the government's commitment to support our industry for market access concessions made in the recent trade agreements, implementing a grocery code of conduct, and taking measures to improve the resilience of Canada's critical infrastructure. We look forward to working with you to tackle these and other challenges and would be pleased to answer your questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. McFall. We're going to move now to Mr. Pellicero for 5 minutes. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to the vice chairs and the members of the committee. My name is Roger Pellicero. I'm a third-generation egg farmer from St. Anne's, Ontario, and chairman of the board of Egg Farmers of Canada. Joining me today is Tim Lambert, Chief Executive Officer of Egg Farmers of Canada. It is an honor to appear before you today to discuss supply chain issues in our sector. I would like to begin by acknowledging the study we are participating in today is being conducted on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin people.
Egg Farmers of Canada manages the national egg supply and promotes egg consumption while representing the interests of regulated egg producers from coast to coast. There are over 1,200 family farms across Canada, located in every province and in the Northwest Territories. We are dedicated to producing fresh local eggs. Today, we are here to talk to you about the agricultural and agri-food supply chain and share issues we are currently experiencing in our sector, along with what actions the government can take to ensure the long-term sustainability and reliance of supply chain in the face of disruptions. I'll pass things over to Tim Lambert to start.
Thank you very much, Roger. Today's egg farmers are experiencing unprecedented challenges, from summer-long droughts in the prairies to mass forest fires to flooding, and all of this incredible winter storms battering Atlantic Canada, and all of this in the midst of a global pandemic. So supply chain disruptions have been constant, and farmers have been at the front lines of it all, continuing to feed Canadians and providing strong domestic food security when we need it the most. Climate change events have been one of the top causes of extreme supply chain disruptions in our sector. And these events are occurring more and more frequently, as we've all seen. And the level of destruction it's caused is continuing to increase. We need proper funding to prepare for these events, strengthen infrastructure, and emergency preparedness where needed. Additionally, significant funds for research and sustainable initiatives is absolutely imperative to ensure the future of farming in Canada and to prevent more significant events from occurring. Canadian egg farmers are leaders in best practices. Our innovative practices and new efficiencies have allowed Canadian egg farmers to reduce their environmental impact and footprint while still meeting Canada's growing demand for local eggs. And just as an example, in the past 50 years, we've reduced the environmental impact of egg production by 68% in terms of greenhouse gas emissions, 68% reduction in water use, and an 81% reduction in land use, and 41% reduction in energy required to produce eggs, a record we are very proud of. However, the adoption, innovation, and development of these new practices and efficiencies are often costly, placing financial burden on farmers. This creates a barrier to implementing and developing new sustainable technologies, which therefore limits overall reductions in resource use, obstructing our path towards a possible net zero future with predictable and mild weather events. Additionally, hard policy choices such as carbon pricing plan and possible cap on emissions is forcing change ahead of available infrastructure, funding, and affordable alternatives. This creates significant challenges as many technologies are not advanced enough or remain too costly to adopt. In order to strengthen agricultural supply chains, farmers must be given the tools they need to develop and prevent extreme climate events. More government funding and collaboration with industry is required to maintain transition to net zero that supports farmers, consumers, the environment, and Canadian supply chains. When these events do occur, our sector requires a quick response and appropriate assistance from government in order to prevent further damage to our supply chain. While we are pleased to have a government that provides recovery programs to farmers, these programs do not go far enough. Agri-stability provides a good example. It can be only accessed once a farmer's production margin falls 30% below historical average. A 30% drop caused by events out of producers' control is a huge hit for farmers to take. We would like to see this change so the program can be accessed when production margins fall below 15% of its historical average. Roger, I'll turn things back over to you. Thank you.
20 seconds, gentlemen.
Thanks, Tim. Another issue we are experiencing has to do with current labor shortages. The labor emergency across this country has left few sectors untouched. When it comes to food production and processing, the situation has reached a point where food availability and supply chains are at risk, with shortages are leading some
Mr. Pellicero, I apologize. That's the 5 minutes, and I know that we could go on, but the committee members will, of course, get questions from you, and we appreciate what we heard in those 5 minutes. Colleagues, we're pushing time for where we're normally allowed. We do have the ability to to extend. I've had conversations with some of the folks in the room. I propose that we do a 6-minute round of questioning so that every party has the ability to ask questions. We will then suspend afterwards and be able to move on with the rest of our days and let the witnesses continue on as well. So with that, I'm going to start with the Conservative Party. I think it might be Mr. Epp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to say thank you to the witnesses. And I'm going to begin exactly with the number one issue that we've heard in previous testimony, that be of labor shortages. Under a very broad umbrella, and I'm going to congratulate this umbrella, the Food and Beverage Manufacturing, for proposing an emergency foreign worker program. And I'm going to spend most of my time fairly pedantically making sure that this is onto the record of all 5 components. In earlier testimony today, we heard of the 11 studies that have identified various aspects of the labor shortage. What I want to congratulate the industry, because I've spent a lot of time with it, and it's not always easy to bring 10 organizations together and agree upon a document. And so congratulations to you. And so I want to jump right into that. And so I'll be directing most of my questions to begin with to the Canadian Poultry and Egg Processors Council. I've heard a fair bit about the cap, the proposal to raise the cap from 10 to 30%. We heard this morning from the Canadian Meat Council, their shortages are up to 35% of their labor force. I heard in your testimony that it was up to 25%. Can you comment, and if the cap was raised to 30%, would that at all incentivize you and your members from hiring Canadians first, or could we safely go to 30% to have that address shortages in other sectors without jeopardizing Canadian workers?
If I may, Mr. Chair. Yeah, excellent question. Thanks for noting that, yeah, we were able to bring 10 associations together. Actually, now we're up to 11. Yeah, very important topic. What I can say about the challenge in our industry, and you're asking about a request to increase the cap to 30%, I just want to make it clear the position that we've taken with our colleagues running other food processing associations is to put in a temporary emergency program in place over an 18-month period. And so the idea there is to have emergency measures to help us address the labor gap that we're facing in the food manufacturing industry. Our objective is to, again, address the immediate short-term issue that we're facing, but we know we need to develop medium to long-term solutions at the same time. And actually, through the Canadian Federation of Agriculture and Food and Beverage Canada, we're all working together on a 2-year project to develop a labor strategy for the food sector in Canada. And I know that's also something that fits into the government's priority. So we're very much focused on looking at other solutions, increasing the pool of available labor from Canada. I know we could expand on this if you're interested.
Thank you. I want to make sure all 5 planks of your platform are read into the record. So the second one deals with shortening processing time. We've heard of up to delays of up to 8 months. Very quickly, can you confirm that your sector is also experiencing that, and that you're calling for more resources into the processing side of the LMIAs?
Yes, we are. And actually what we're asking for is kind of a level playing field. We know on the production side, temporary foreign workers that have come into our agriculture sector, those applications are processed faster. And so what we're looking for is to make sure that we also get prompt processing times. I mean, you've heard, I think, from witnesses. I mean, we're all part of the same chain, and so we as processors need to make sure that our farmers are able to do their job.
Thank you.
I'd like farmers need us to do the same.
The third point calls for supports for small businesses, dedicating resources to centralize the LMIA. Very quickly, can you describe how that would benefit?
Well, the idea there is to have a central place within the government to process our labor market impact assessment requests so that they develop expertise, right? I mean, they get applications from all sectors of the economy, but we're thinking if we can have a dedicated center within ESDC to review our applications, they'll develop some expertise, and that's going to contribute to speeding up processing times.
Thank you. Sorry for cutting you off, but I'm just trying to get us all on the record. Pathways for residency. I know there's been a pilot program that's been very broadly well received. Canada's population is the fastest growing in the G7, and yet we're still experiencing that lack of labor. Can you comment?
My colleague from the Canadian Meat Council mentioned this earlier. There's nothing temporary about jobs in our industry. So the idea there is to ensure that the foreign workers who come in, if they're willing to stay in Canada and if the employer is willing to sponsor them, and we know it is in a lot of cases, that there's a pathway for these people to get their work experience in Canada as temporary foreign workers recognized so that they can apply and become permanent Canadian residents.
Thank you. Any specific ideas on directing refugees? I know Canada's a lot of our rural economy has been built upon waves of refugees. Comment?
Well, we know there's been influxes of refugees, for example, recently from Afghanistan, and we understand, it'd be great to find a solution. We've got these people coming to Canada looking to get into the labor market. We need people. The idea there is to basically bring these two together so that we can use some of these workers in our
Thank you. If I could get one last question in, have you had any response as to, I know housing has been an issue, have you had any response to the industry calls for some certainty on the change of regulations? I know there's been all kinds of consultations. I'm aware of parts of the industry that are looking for government to respond. Have you heard anything back?
Yeah, I can't speak to this specifically. Some of my colleagues might be able to expand on it. I'll be honest, labor is somewhat of a new issue for our association. We've been working on this for several months now. And I know housing continues to be a challenge, but I can speak to some of the recent changes that have been floated around.
Thank you, Mr. Epp, and thank you, Mr. Laurent. Mr. Epp, you reminded me, of course, of waves of immigration, and I would be remiss without mentioning our Dutch immigrants in Nova Scotia that have played an important role in the supply managed sector. So, look, I think we're going to go now to Ms. Valdez for 6 minutes. Over to you, Ms. Valdez.
Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Chair, and to all the witnesses who are joining us today. I just want to let you know that I'll be sharing my time with my colleague from Aurora Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill. And so the first question I had was for Mr. Bilks, Mr. McFall, and Mr. Pellicero, if you can comment on all of my questions. So the first one is, what type of investments have your members made in order to strengthen our supply chain? Thank you. We can start with Mr. Bilks.
Okay. Thank you for the question. And basically, we've been investing in our supply chains by increasing barn space and also the environmental footprint, reducing that, along with a lot of other I think other things focused on food safety and animal care issues for our industries over the last number of years. That's been our focus.
McFall?
Yes, thank you. And I know that Jean-Michel may have additional comments, but automation, plant automation is sort of across the board as something that we view will strengthen our ability to not only be as effective and cost effective as we'd like to be as an overall industry, but also address some of the labor issues we're having. So I think plant automation is a big opportunity that we see in our company and also in the industry at large.
And your colleague or Mr. Pellicero?
Sure. Yeah. So over the last number of years, we've also done many things to make sure our farmers have all the tools necessary to get eggs to market. We have good collaboration with our members at CPEPBC, which is the grading sector, and the process is in place to make sure there shouldn't be any disruptions with supply going to the market. And when the market doesn't need as many eggs as happened here in COVID, we're able to adjust because we supply eggs for the domestic market. I don't know if Tim has anything to add.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Thank you. And then the next question, I'll pass this over to Mr. Bilks. So what, in terms of the Department of Agriculture, we've made strategic investments in place to, secure our food system and support agriculture industries, given this uncertainty with COVID-19. Can you share what your members within your industry have utilized in terms of those programs?
I don't know if our members have used a lot of the programs for COVID-19 with AFC. I'm sure there's more money been gone into the processing sectors than directly to farmers. Unless Drew, you have anything to add?
Yeah, maybe just quickly, if I could. I think, Brian, you're correct in that it's gone perhaps slightly a bit more to other sectors. However, we do have some targeted investments as a result coming from AAFC for an on-farm investment program. A lot of that is just starting to get rolled out now, and that's going to some of the investments and improvements that Mr. Bilks already mentioned, such as on-farm efficiencies to drive down greenhouse gas emissions. There's a number of different kind of priorities that are within that. So that is just kind of getting rolling now on the ground. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll just pass this over to so that my colleague can have time.
Thank you very much. And I just wanted to follow up. I know there's not much time left, but on one thing. First, I'd like to commend you on the work that's being done in this sector on to reduce greenhouse gases and other environmental aspects of the industry. This is an industry close to my heart. My aunt and uncle, Helen and Mike Dystra, had a big family poultry farm. My cousin is now continuing to operate that. And coming from good Dutch stock, I know this is a very important part of our industry in Canada, our agriculture industry. I was just wondering if you could comment, perhaps, Tim, you were talking about this, Mr. Lambert, on the effectiveness of the agricultural clean technology program or the new agriculture climate solutions program, and whether your members have been able to take advantage of any of these programs in working to develop solutions to some of the climate challenges.
Not specifically as of yet, but we're looking really closely at its applicability for us. It's of considerable interest to us. I guess I would just reiterate, and that's important, but when you think of the opportunity for Canada to be a global leader in agriculture, helping mitigate the challenges of climate change, that's good for our domestic industries, good for export opportunities as well. And so really, while it's a start, it's a little bit of a drop in the bucket as well, because there's a lot is needed. And some of the challenges we're facing with things like not being exempt from the carbon tax don't make it any easier for animal agriculture, be it the farming side or the grading and processing side, to find alternative solutions. So I think there's a bit of a gap between what we have available as readily available, affordable new technologies and what we have to work with today.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert. Thank you, Ms. Taylor-Roy. We're going to now move to Monsieur Parent pour 6 minutes, s'il vous plaît. Merci.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to our witnesses for being here today. I'll begin with Mr. Laurent. Mr. Laurent, we spoke a lot about the ratio of foreign workers in processing plants, raising the percentage from 20 to 30%. Will that meet your immediate labor needs, or, as other witnesses might have said, would it be better to eliminate that cap completely and basically come into line with the production side where that cap does not exist? Thank you for the question, Mr. Perron. In Quebec, that ratio is 20%, but for most of our members, it's only 10%. Only 10% of workers can be temporary foreign workers. Now, what is the appropriate threshold? We've asked for 30% as well, because we believe that would help companies and or operations with serious immediate problems. But we would, of course, need to look at medium and long-term solutions. We wouldn't complain if that cap was 100%, because then we could adjust as needed. But we could move forward in stages. We will soon see what the impact in Quebec of going from 10 to 20% will be, how many employers will use that leeway. And as your colleague said earlier, some applications for temporary foreign workers can take up to 8 months to process. Our fear is to create expectations among employers. And short-term solutions are useful, but they're not what we need in the longer term. We believe it's important for employers to have as many foreign workers as they need now. The processing side needs more. So what can we do tangibly for it to take less than 8 months to process applications? What would you recommend for that to go faster? We have a crisis at the moment. Well, as we've seen, shortages can have a direct impact on the availability of food. That's labor shortages. So what could we suggest? Simple measures? Some amendments could be made. Well, the major amendments for us, but probably not major for the government. Looking at the 2 pilot projects in recent years could be broadened. I know the government has announced further investments to deal with labor shortages. One thing might be to ensure that all applications from the food processing sector be dealt with by a single group. The labor market investigations are valid only for a period of months, 6 or 9. We would like them to remain valid for up to 2 years. So if those investigations are good for 2 years, there would be fewer applications to be processed. These are all measures that, in our view, would help the government process applications more quickly and efficiently.
Thank you indeed, Mr. Laurent. Mr. Pellicero, you have written to the committee, and thanks to the letter that you sent, you say that there's a need to stimulate the production share and chain, and you have other solutions as well.
The question. So other suggestions for stimulating the production, I think when you take a look at the programs that are put in place to help farmers regarding investing to meet the marketplace, some of those programs aren't built in mind with the availability for us in the supply management sector to access the money. The business risk management programs, supply management typically cannot access those programs. So it's hard for us to be able to move forward on initiatives to initiate, be it promotion of our products, finding innovative ways to offset greenhouse gases. Like Tim mentioned before, we've done a great job of reducing what we've done over the last 50 years. But in order for us to get to net zero, it'd be good if we could have a roundtable discussion on achieving those goals.
Thank you indeed, Monsieur Bice. I'd like to give you the opportunity to react on the same topics. So if you would give us your suggestions.
Yeah, I would agree fully with what my colleague Roger has said. Access to the business risk management programs and other carbon pricing program fundings would all be very helpful for our sectors to also continue to make further investments in our industries. I think that and the mitigation programs that have been promised, those would be also of high interest to us. Also, that would be mainly it. Drew, did you have anything further?
Monsieur Parent,
Mr. Parent, Mr. Milks, thank you very much for your testimonies.
Great. Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you to our witnesses for helping guide our committee through this study. I'm going to open this question up to a comment from each of you. If you could each maybe take a minute to comment. This study that we're doing has got some obvious parallels to the processing study that this committee did in the previous Parliament. And, I was going through some of the witness testimony, that we received during that study, particularly on the issue of labor. We had the United Food and Commercial Workers Union appear before our committee during that study. And when it came to labor, they were talking about the fact that maybe there were not quite enough efforts being made to link enough Canadians to the openings that existed in the sector. I know that temporary foreign workers for sure are necessary. I mean, we can see that, but I think the UFCW wanted to see a more established forum where we could bring in labor, industry, educational institutions, and government. I think there used to be something called a sectoral program that was discontinued about a decade ago. I'm just wondering if each of you could comment, on whether we need to bring back some kind of a forum which includes those four groups so that there are regular conversations happening.
You'd like me to start since
Yes,
I started? Please. Okay. It's the labor issues at our processing and hatchery friends business is really their area of expertise. We do work closely with them, so we can confirm that they definitely have those issues. I think also the thing to remember is that they're spread across the entire country, and not just in all in major cities. We have hatcheries in smaller, more remote communities, and the availability of workers is definitely a struggle. It's not the same struggle we have necessarily on our farms because we're a lot of family farms, and so the family provides a lot of labor. But I think the processing sectors are best in the position to comment further.
Maybe if I can.
Yeah, please go ahead, Mr. Lauren.
I think what's changed since the last study the committee conducted, and I'm assuming our colleagues in the labor sector would probably agree, is like we've seen a seismic shift in the way labor markets operate, not just in Canada, but globally, right? You look at the US, Europe, I mean, employers find themselves short of labor in a lot of places. The other thing we're also seeing is, in our industry, people work at the plant. They can't work from home in most part. And many of them have exited our industry, and we're having trouble attracting people to our industry because jobs where you can work from home are at a premium, and some people are making life decisions where, we're probably seeing less participation in the labor market than we did before because, COVID situation, life decisions that people are making. So that's why we as an industry realize, we need to do a strat plan for our own industry when it comes to labor, for us to look at medium to long-term solutions. We know that temporary foreign workers can be sort of a stopgap solution immediately, but we know we need to look at other solutions. The program you're referring to, I think, is the sector councils. We used to have sector councils for pretty much every sector of the Canadian economy. Maybe that's something we need to look at. I know they were disbanded about 10 years ago, but that might be the type of approach we need to bring, again, labor unions, employers together. We're all in this together, and we need to come up with innovative solutions because we're dealing with a pretty unique problem. And we know we're not the only ones. Every sector of the economy is facing, and employers in your writings are probably telling you everybody's short of labor. But I think some of the elements about our own situation are somewhat unique for the reasons I'll outline earlier.
Yeah, I've never seen so many help wanted signs in my writing. Mr. Pelissaro and Mr. Lambert, anything to add?
Sure. Yeah. Our colleague at CPPC has done a good job outlining everything very well. I think the one thing that you need to recognize why we depend on so much foreign labor for our help is, at least on the farming side and the processing side, these typically, unfortunately, aren't jobs that young Canadians are looking to do. And it's hard for us to entice them to come work on the farm. And when you take a look at the opportunities that they have, be it work from home or other aspects, without the availability to bring in foreign workers to help fill these jobs, we'd be in a real tough situation.
All right. Thank you. For the final minute, Mr. Lauren, one of the recommendations we made in the processing capacity study was to have the government of Canada encourage Canada's banks and institutional investors to establish funds to provide capital to the fastest growing sectors. We've got institutions like a federal government institution like Farm Credit Canada. Anything you can add about that, which may, like, within the context of trying to fix our supply chain issues?
Yeah, with regards to financing, it's an important one. I can say that I've heard, particularly from members, saying like, having access to regular financing is an issue. I know Farm Credit Canada has been more active in this space. I think they used to be exclusively focused on farmers, and I know increasingly they're funding and looking at opportunities in the processing sector. But I'll say again, sorry to come back to labor, but I think right now, I've got several members looking to keep growing their business, but they're really challenged right now because if you can't get people, and especially for us, like we are thankful and we're privileged to be operating in an environment where farmers are supply managed, which means that we've got a reliable supply of food for the Canadian market. As my chair mentioned in his introduction, we're focused on supplying the Canadian market. So given that situation, we need to address our labor challenges. And the other thing, I know your Liberal colleague was mentioning a question about investments. We're also expecting and hoping that the government will fulfill its commitment to provide trade compensation for our industry. I know our producer friends have already started
Mr.
to see some of
Laurent,
those
Mr.
investments being
McGregor.
made.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're at time, and colleagues, I know we're a little bit over time. First of all, thank you to our witnesses for your testimony here today. I know it was cut off short because of some of the procedural elements and the vote in the House. I certainly speak on behalf of all members that if you want to submit something further in terms of briefs or information, that you're more than welcome to do so, and please go ahead. And to all colleagues, thank you for being here today, and happy Valentine's Day. I never mentioned that off the hop. So enjoy your day. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.